Athens. Welcome to Kaleidoscope. This is one of your hostesses, Nan Michael, and I'm with the other co-hostess, Jane Penwell, today. And we talked about starting out with show and tell. I don't know if you forgot or not.
I did.
You forgot.
I forgot.
Do you got one anyway?
I can probably rustle one up.
All right.
I have so much stuff in my purse, there's bound to be something in there that I could show and tell. Hey, do you remember that? Who was it? Here's a trivia for you. Who was it that they called hostess with the mostest? That's an old one. Maybe some of you viewers can remember. I don't have my iPhone.
Is that the one that went to prison?
I don't think so. I think it was back in the 50s or early 60s, and I can't remember who it was. But so that's our trivia for today, and I'll look it up and let you know next week who was hostess with the mostest.
That wasn't an ad for some kind of...
It could have been like Hostess Cupcakes.
Yeah.
It could have been. I honestly don't. I'm drawing a blank. All I remember is that little tag, hostess with the mostest.
Okay, Jane, I've got my show and tell.
Oh, good for
Here.
you. Looky here. We have a bottle. Isn't it? And it's cute. There's a good picture of it. And it says, what is that? Egner, Austria. And it's got little, oh, look here. It's got a little, it's clear and it's divided in the middle. So you're going to have two different things in there. That's really a clever little bottle, Nan. I like that.
And why do you think they did that? I don't have the answer to why.
Maybe they like whiskey and soda. Whiskey on one side and soda on the other.
And let's see how you would have to drink that. You'd have to have this, that's going to a lot of trouble instead of mixing it.
I know. But if you were going to carry it for any length of time, that might be a good thing.
Well, they could put a handle on it.
What kind of has a handle? I can stick my fingers right in there. See?
Ah.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Toast the new month.
Here's my Jack Daniels and soda. Don't I wish? Not really. It's 11 o'clock in the morning, so.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that on public access, would we?
Well, I guess not. It's almost Super Bowl Sunday, so we could be celebrating the Super Bowl. A lot of people may be drinking 11 o'clock in the morning on Super Bowl Sunday.
Where is that going to be held?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, okay. Good.
Those lucky dogs.
Well, I have a couple of clips to share
Oh, good.
before we get to your production.
Okay. The mystery show.
Yes, yes. This is, and these all came from The Week magazine, which I really love. They don't have many ads in there, and they tell you something from every country and
I never heard of it.
Almost state. A new dress code. This one ticks me off, really ticks me off bad. A new dress code for the Montana House of Representatives wants women legislators to have modest skirt lengths and necklines and bands, leggings, and open-toe sandals.
Sounds like my college.
They must be foot fetishes. Women legislators say the dress code drawn up by Republican males, surprise, surprise, is patriarchal and insulting. The code crosses a line, said Representative Jenny Eck. Can you imagine?
Here's what my question is. What is it about women's bodies that gets these men going so much? I mean, I get it that there's sexuality in, somewhere in this, but men want to control our insides and our outsides. I mean, I think secretly some of these guys would like to do like Saudi Arabia and make us wear those black, whatever you call those things.
There you go.
And I don't get it at all. I don't know what Is it that they're afraid that they're just going to run amok, completely out of control, totally unable to stop themselves if they see a woman with open-toe sandals? That's just going to be such an incitement that they just will go berserk. It's complete. I think, here's what I think. Women of the Montana legislature, hark. I want you to pass rules for the men. I want you to say that no man can come in there with a suit coat that he can't button over his belly, number one. Every shirt he has on has to button nicely and not be stretched open and showing something underneath it.
No hair showing.
No hair showing. And he has to wear a tie that was made within the last 10 years and not back in the 70s. And he needs to have a haircut that is not
Girlish.
no, it's okay with me if he has a girlish haircut, but he can't have a farmer do. He can't have a farmer haircut, you know, the bangs and down. No, that's out. So how about that, women of Montana? You strike back with, you know, regulations, rules and regulations for how the men should dress. And we don't want to see that crack in the back when they lean over either. Be sure you put that in there.
And they shouldn't be too tight either.
Oh, Lord, no. Heavens, no. We don't want to see anything too tight. And how kind of shoes? Let's say that no shoes will be allowed, men will be allowed in there without open-toed sandals. How about that? We'll require that the men wear open-toed, and no socks with your sandals either. That's disgusting. How about that? Oh, it just, I can't even believe.
I really don't understand, you know, that
Is it 2015 or is it
legislature
1815?
that forbade a woman to mention vagina in the court. I mean, what?
I know.
What?
I'd like to take all those
At least
men.
she used the politically correct word.
Yeah, she did.
Could have used something else.
She could have called it a hoo-ha. But here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to take all those men who did that and force them to watch the vagina monologues. That's a play. If you don't know, that's a play. It's a wonderful play. If you've never seen it and you have a chance to see it, it's really fantastic.
Well, did you read some college, or was it in New York, they forbade them to show the vagina monologues because of transgender people.
Oh, that seems odd. I didn't. I don't understand that.
You know, this transgender business is really, feminists I always somehow thought of as being liberal.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a block of feminists that refuse to let transgender women into their club of women. So
Oh.
they're not really women.
They're not really women. Well, I mean, you know.
I mean, that's not certainly isn't a liberal position.
No, it isn't, but I don't know what to say about that. That's an odd concept. I mean, who is a woman? You know, we used to know because a woman has certain parts, and if you didn't have those parts, you weren't a woman. But things are changing now. And
I forget how many there are, but there are thousands of transgender
probably
people
million.
now.
It's just more common than we ever knew. And now society has relaxed to the point where a man can go around dressed as a woman without getting arrested or, you know, whatever. I don't know what would have happened to him in the past, but, you know, something terrible. So I think that's good. If that's what he wants to do, let him do it. If a woman wants to dress like a man, let her do it. I don't care about any of that. But it is an interesting conflict now that we have a new definition of woman that is not based on body parts. You know, you can be a woman now without the body parts. So that's interesting. We'll have to see where that goes.
Well, I read someplace, and I should always cut out whatever Irene I want to use, that there's some wrangle going on about which bathroom.
Yes, I read
They
that.
should use,
I
yes.
read that too. And I got to admit, if I looked in the stall next to me and I saw a pair of size 13 sneakers, you know, I'd be a little worried. I'd be a little like, not because I care if it's a man so much as I don't want him to be lurking over there trying to snatch my purse or something. So, you know, which actually I did have that happen to me in a restroom. So
In a bathroom?
yes, yes.
Did they get away with it?
No, thankfully. But yes, there was a man in the stall next to me. I looked down. I don't know why, because I don't usually inspect the feet of the people next to me, you know, but I just glanced down and I was like, oh my God, I think that's a man over there. And you know, it was just me and him in the restroom. And this was in New York. I can't remember if it was JFK or LaGuardia, one of the airports in New York. And I thought, you know, I'm not going to flush, and I'm just going to kind of edge out, you know, quietly, and maybe he won't know. So I grabbed my purse, and I kind of edged out without flushing. And then I heard him stand up, and I just ran out real fast and got away from him. And I tell you, it was scary. It was really scary because who knows, you know what? It could be that he just made a mistake and he was perfectly all right, but I don't know that.
Maybe he was transgender.
It could be. In those days, I would have never thought of such a thing.
Well, I
But-
thought you were going to say you were trying to sneak out and it was one of those self-flush toilets.
No, thank God it wasn't. It was not. So I managed to get up and edge my way out of the door and, you know, luckily I was all the way out of the stall before he stood up, so I had a clear shot to the door and I just ran out.
Well, actually, I have used the restroom with the man in the stall next to me, and it was a unisex bathroom, and it was overseas someplace, I forget.
Oh, yeah, that's a different story.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
In this country, it just doesn't happen. Yes, I've been in those situations too, where you know it's unisex, and that's okay, but this was not. This was clearly ladies' restroom.
You know, they think that we sat up all night trying to think of dirty things to talk about today, and it wasn't even on the agenda.
I don't think I could get a lot dirtier than this. I don't think of this as truly dirty. If you want dirty, I can give you no.
No.
Not on
no,
Kaleidoscope. We'll have another show for that.
This is, yeah, dirty
We
is
are not-
after midnight.
And we're not Masters and Johnson. We're Michael and Penwell.
Okay, another item from the week.
Okay.
Google has admitted that 56% of ads on the internet are never even in view, defined as being on the screen for 1 second or more. Advertisers pay for illusory impressions of these ads, so they're not seen. Well, technically, they're probably seen because in order not to see would be less than a second. But people may think they're just hallucinating when they thought something was there.
Well, they used to have a word for that. Something advertising, subliminal.
Yeah.
Subliminal
Right.
advertising. That was a thing, you know, back in the day. In the movie theaters, they would flash Coke up on the screen or something so fast that it didn't interfere with the movie, but evidently you see something that you don't consciously know you see, which is kind of scary. So this is subliminal advertising. Well, good. I don't want to see them anyway, so it's fine with me.
But isn't that remarkable?
It is.
Well, speaking of hallucinations, I think we were, did I?
Yes, you did.
I don't know now whether I had a hallucination the other day or not.
Oh, good. What did
You might be able to help me, or somebody might be able to help me
We'll
know
try.
whether I saw truly or not. I thought that driving by where the cherry trees are on the river, I saw 2 trees all decorated with tennis shoes.
Ha!
It's like a bunch of people all threw up their shoes into 2 trees, and they were like decorated with it. And I went to Gallipolis, and when I came back, I looked and I couldn't find the tree. And so I don't know if it exists or not.
Well, remember, that is on a college campus. So nothing would surprise me in
But
that
I mean, it
regard.
was a lot of them, you know, it was a lot of feet represented.
Well, they could have climbed up in there and got them. You know, the cost of tennis shoes nowadays.
I know.
You can hardly afford to throw them up in a tree unless they're just completely unwearable.
There was a cartoon in New Yorker, I think, this week of a flying saucer coming down, and they were dangling 2 tennis shoes to drop over a line.
Well, my grandson has turned out to be a shoe fancier. He really loves shoes, and he loves to buy shoes. And if you want to do something for him, give him some money and take him shoe shopping. He really, I don't know why, but that's something that he really enjoys. And I cannot get over the price of the sneakers that he wants. They're just, all of them are over $100. Some of them are over $200. And I told him he's going to have to get another grandmother because I can't afford it.
Well, it can be dangerous in some neighborhoods to wear too expensive tennis shoes. You know, that's something.
Well, I'll tell him that. Maybe that'll, you know, I don't know, back him down off of this. But I said, you know, it used to be when you got shoes, you just had a couple pairs. You know, you didn't have 10 pairs of anything. Nowadays, they don't want to wear the same pair twice, you know, to school every day.
How does he feel about toes?
Toes. I don't know. He's never mentioned toes. He always wears socks.
We were talking about foot fetishes.
Yeah, he always wears socks, so I don't know. I don't think he has much of an interest in toes. But it's the shoe itself. It's like a work of art for him. If it's the one he likes, he'll hold it and he'll look at it and he'll enjoy it, you know, and then he puts it on, looks at his feet. And I mean, he really digs his shoes.
Well, there was, I think it was on Facebook, there was this picture, one of the side pictures, and said something about doctoring for your feet. And it showed a left foot, and the right foot was a carrot, a strangely shaped carrot.
Oh, for God's sake.
And it had little roots come in.
Oh, gross. Ew.
Talking about blood pressure medication, it says, you know, what your doctor won't tell you about pressure medication, your feet will turn into carrots or something.
I don't like carrots in the first place, and I certainly don't want them on my feet. I don't eat them. I don't like them. So stay away from me, carrots.
Well, one more hot item.
Oh, boy, I can't wait for this.
Okay. There was a president that gave his inaugural speech without a hat or dressed up warm, and he died several weeks later because he caught pneumonia. Do you remember that? Do you know that?
I vaguely, yes.
Like Garfield or somebody.
Somebody. Back in the day.
Well, so people have always. Well, I've read my own family history. You know, people had to go out in the snow and cold, and they caught pneumonia and died.
Yeah.
And so the folk knowledge, the common sense knowledge is you got to dress up warm or you're going to catch your death of cold.
Yeah, just exactly what your grandmother told
Yes.
you, right?
But science has been telling us, I mean, I love science, but science has been telling us that that's an old wives' tale, that actually it has to do with the immune system and it doesn't have to do with getting cold. But this is what the week tells us.
Oh, well.
Mom was right about colds.
In my case, it was my grandmother.
For years, scientists have insisted that being cold doesn't make people more susceptible to catching a cold. The season colds are more common in winter, they've maintained. The reason is that infections spread more easily when people spend more time in crowded indoor spaces. But new research now suggests that feeling cold may indeed play a significant role in getting sick. Da-da, da-da.
I know it does for me. If I get chilled, I'm going to get something. No question about it.
The common cold is caused by the rhinovirus, which 1 in 5 people carries in his or her nasal cavity at any given time. Most of the time, the body's natural immune system keeps the virus at bay. But researchers at Yale University have found that when the temperature inside the nasal cavity falls by 5 degrees, the immune system is weakened and becomes less effective at preventing the germs from replicating.
Oh, interesting.
So, if you're going to go out in the cold and don't want to catch a cold, put something over your nose to keep warm.
Remember nose warmers? People used to have nose warmers.
Yeah, well, they knew what they were talking
I
about.
guess they did. Well, I know it's true for me. If I get really, really chilled, like bone cold, and I don't do something about it, I definitely will get something. So my immune system must be kind of weak to begin with. But also for me, in terms of all this, I have arthritis, and most specific
what?
arthritis,
Oh.
most specifically in my lower spine. And I tell my doctor all the time, I've got to have something. When the weather starts to get cold, I start to get the aches and pains. I need something more powerful. And he goes, Jane, there is no scientific evidence to show that cold weather has any effect on arthritis. Well, okay, you get arthritis in your lower spine and go out in the cold and see what happens to you. That's what I say. But it really affects me, the cold weather. No wonder older people go to Florida or Texas or somewhere, because I definitely feel better in warmer weather in that regard. And there's, as he's told me 25 times, there is no scientific evidence to show that there's any validity to that.
Well, since I don't know him, I can say, why don't you change doctors?
Well, I like him, so I'll probably stick with him, and I have my own remedies, you know. But that's, I mean, as a doctor, I guess you really should go by scientific. We don't want the doctor to not be scientific. What I want to do is have science catch up and say, yes, the cold weather does do something to your...
We need someone to respect your experience.
And others. I mean, I'm not alone in this
Maybe
at all.
he could write an article based on your experience.
Oh, I'll suggest that to him.
Well, I really hope that science does better, is doing better with evolution.
Oh, gosh. Let's not get into that. Evolution.
What was that I saw about them finding a jawbone of a new species of humans back further than we thought, much, much older. And as I say, I need to read things with my scissors handy. Well, what do you have for us today?
Well, I have another movie review. I am trying to see the movies for which either someone in the movie was nominated or the movie itself was nominated for an Academy Award, which the Academy Awards are going to be given out at the end of February, so I still have time to get through. And I've seen several. As last week I talked about The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch, my favorite actor right now, and contrasted it to The Theory of Everything with Eddie Redmayne, which is about Stephen Hawking. The the Benedict Cumberbatch Imitation of Life movie was about Alan Turing, who broke the Enigma code in World War II. Okay, so those were pretty serious movies, about pretty serious
Can I
people.
interrupt? Or
Sure.
I'll forget to ask you.
Okay.
The one about Stephen Hawking, did it go into like his marital?
Yes.
It did. Okay. Now continue.
And I think I know where you're going with that. Maybe.
I got there. I mean,
Well, it was cute because it was kind of addressed in the movie. It was
it
cute.
kind of what?
Kind of addressed, like were there marital problems because of his disability, was kind of addressed in the movie. And he himself said it operates on a different system. So, enough said. He fathered 3 children, so even as, handicapped as he was. So that was a cute part of the movie. His friends couldn't believe
I
it.
hadn't thought of that, but you see what I mean? Today is something in the water.
I think it's the cold weather. It's really cold today. Okay, so the movie I'm going to talk about today is one called Wild with Reese Witherspoon. And you may have heard of it. You may have seen some clips of it. This is a woman who, Reese Witherspoon is playing a woman who had a pretty bad childhood. There she is on her, just the very beginning of her journey. She had a bad childhood. She had all kinds of problems. She lost her mother to cancer when her mother was only 45 and she was 20 or something. And she had several years of drugs, sex, and rock and roll, so to speak. And she's just trying to get back on the right track and figure out how to change her life. So for whatever reason, she goes into this bookstore and she sees a book, and the title of the book is The Pacific Trail. So there's a Pacific Trail and then there's the Appalachian Trail, on different sides of the country. And she was in Minneapolis, and for whatever reason, she chose the Pacific Trail and decided she was going to walk the trail. And that would help her to work through all of her problems and, help her to find her way. Okay, so back to the picture now. Cut to the photo of Reese Witherspoon, and you'll see it looks like she has everything but the kitchen sink on her back. The pack was so heavy she had to lay down on the floor and struggle to pick it up. It's a typical. A person like this, did she plan? Really, no. Did she pack and then unpack and get rid of the stuff she didn't need like any sensible person would do? No. She has all kinds of stuff in that pack that doesn't work. She has a stove, a little camp stove, but she brought the wrong gas for it. She's just not the person that should be out on that trail. She needs a keeper. But nevertheless, out there she is. And, I said, the minute this thing started and I saw where she was, I said, I would not do this without a satellite phone and a gun. Because there's, people out in California get attacked by those cougars all the time. They're
what?
Cougars. When they're jogging, there's been a cougar.
A cougar, okay.
There's been, I don't know how many people killed jogging by attacks from these big cats. They're coming.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's true. And other, rattlesnakes and coyotes.
Bad guys.
Yeah, well, that's possible too. But she had nothing. She had no way of defending herself or anything. She had a tent, which, these 2 words, pop up. We all know that there's pop-up tents. Well, she had one where we had one of these ones. You have to put these little metal rods into it. She didn't know how to do it. She'd never done it before she got on the trail. She was it was pathetic. But she struggled through all that, and she finally figured it out and got pretty much so that she could, take care of herself. But she ran out of food, she ran out of water. She had all these problems. And the interesting part of the movie was one, who she met along the way, because she met people that helped her along the way. And she also met people that were scary, some guys that were scary. That's what would worry me, by yourself out in the middle of nowhere. You know, you run into some, made me think of Deliverance. Remember that movie with Burt Reynolds? So anyway, she had in this huge pack, and she couldn't make the number of miles she needed because she was carrying all these. I swear it looked like it had 75 pounds worth of stuff in it. Let's look at it again so you can see. It's almost as big as she is. See, look, it's up over her head. So she couldn't make the number of miles she needed to because she was dragging all that stuff along with her, you know, on her back. And she would take it off and she couldn't get it back on. And it was a problem. Now, this is her in the desert just starting, okay? But as you know, as you go north in California, you run into the Sierras, right, which are mountains. Well, somebody along the way told her that there'd been a huge snowfall in the Sierras and she should skip them and just take a bus to Reno, which thankfully she did, but she still ran into snow. And I mean deep snow, up to her knees maybe even. And she had to struggle through that. So all during this trek that she's on, she's also thinking about her problems and what created the situation in her life where she needed to go on this trek, and her mother's death, and she was having flashbacks, you know, about all of this while she was walking. So the story is not only about her trying to accomplish this trek, to walk from, I forget where she started, somewhere down around San Diego, all the way up to Northern California. I think it's 1,000 miles. I'm pretty sure it's 1,000 miles. And never do you think she's going to do it. I mean, you really don't think she's going to do it.
Don't give away the ending.
I'm not. I'm just saying you don't think she's going to do it. I did not. I thought she was the most ill-prepared. It was totally ridiculous for her to do this. But she pushes on. She perseveres quite a bit. And she learns a lot about herself. This is not my favorite movie that I've ever seen by any means. It's Eat, Pray, Love. Did you see that one or read that book, Eat, Pray, Love? But at a very lower level. In Eat, Pray, Love, the woman had a lot of money, and she went to Italy, and, you know, it ended up in Indonesia. It went to India and ended up in Indonesia and married some guy, and it was quite nice. It was a lot of fun to watch. But it was the same idea. She was on this journey to try and find out who she was and what to do about herself and her problems. She had just gone through a really terrible divorce. So both of these movies are very reminiscent of each other in the sense that they're a woman's journey away from and towards, you know, away from her bad self towards her good self. So Reese Witherspoon was nominated for the Academy Award for this movie. I don't think she'll win at all, but you never know. You know, the Academy Awards have surprised me many times. I think if you like this idea of a woman battling through her problems and her towards her better self, you'll like this movie, if you like that idea.
Now, how many more of these movies do you need to see before the Academy Award?
No, more than I'm going to be able to see, I'm sure.
How often do you go to the movies?
Oh, at least once a week. Or I try to. I don't always make it.
But you need to go more now.
Well, all the movies have not been here. Some of them were just completed and were just out when they were nominated. So, for instance, Julianne Moore is in this movie that I'm dying to see called Still Alice. It hasn't even been here. So there's several of them that are award nominees for one thing or another that haven't even been here.
Well, they say that's a mark against a movie getting an award if they're released at the end of the year. So
I don't know, but anyhow, I'm going to try and see. First, definitely Still Alice I'm going to try to see.
Well, I've read an article critical of the racial comparison award winners this year.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like there were maybe no African Americans in the
Well,
actors.
Selma, which was the story
But
of
it
Martin
didn't-
Luther King's
well.
march, is a wonderful movie. It's about we talked a little bit about that last week. It's about a point in time, pivotal point in time in our history. The movie got nominated, but none of the actors. I think the guy who played Martin Luther King, David, I don't know how you say his name, Olaweo, but nobody else from the movie, and not the director, who's an African American woman, was not nominated. So they feel it was slighted in terms of that. But I don't know. You know, the people who do the nominating, they felt, for whatever the reason, they didn't feel that the director or anybody in the cast except the guy who played Martin Luther King was ready for a nomination. So I don't know whether that was blatantly because they were black or they just didn't like the movie. I don't know. But anyway, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I recommend it, especially if you have an interest in that particular point in our history, because I think it's very good in portraying things as they were. The costumes are great. The houses look like they did at that point in time. People act like they did at that point in time. I just think it's a really good, it's like a snapshot, you know, of Selma, Alabama in the 60s, and it's a really good one.
Well, now we need to go and look at some of Nan's footage.
Oh,
That would be fine for it to be Sundance or
oh
something
yeah.
like that.
Well, you got to get an hour together and submit it. You never know.
Yeah.
Hey, start with the Athens Film Festival first.
Okay, let's take a look at what Nan got this week.
Okie dokie.
Now, which one is the head honcho?
Kelly. No, Nancy.
The one with the back to me?
She's the prez. I'm the vice prez.
Hi, I think I interviewed you all about 3 years ago.
Probably. We've been around for a little while now, yeah. Yep, 4 years, 4 or 5 years? 4 or 5 years maybe, yeah. Athens County Women's Art Guild. Yeah,
Athens County Women's Art Guild.
Yeah.
And you have a special exhibit here in the Athens Library for this month.
Yes. And we have our meetings at Arts West at 5:30, the third Monday of the month. And anyone is welcome to come and share their art with us and just visit and see what's going on. And we have different activities that we do every month. So we have
Did
a good
I see a
time.
man listed in your...
Well, he is actually, he's a contact for Michelle.
Oh,
Yeah.
a contact. He's not...
He's her caseworker.
But this isn't, just a women's
It
group.
is a women's
Oh,
group.
it is?
Yes,
Oh,
so,
okay.
Athens County
So we didn't
Women's
say
Art
not
Guild.
anyone can come.
Any ladies that would
Any-
like to come, so. And girls, too. And girls, We'd like
or
to anyone that encourage young girls to identifies. come. Yes.
Do you have any young members?
We have in the past, but, you know, they live such busy lives that they can't always
What
come.
kind of things did they do?
A lot of them just came with their mothers, or, you know, the ones that we've had in the past have just come with mothers or grandmas, or, but, We've had lots of activities such as spinning, which is wool spinning into yarn. We've made cookies. We've done
Uh.
made tiaras. We've done candles. We've done quilting. We've done needle felting, wet felting, batiking.
And you still meet at Arts West?
Yes.
And how'd you get into this?
We just decided, Kelly and I and a friend of ours, Megan, decided that there needed to be a women's art group in town that focused more on production and sometimes helping people with sales and things like that, but more about just meeting and being together and creating art. So we just decided to start. With Kelly's help and Arts West support, and it happened.
Yeah, so you're kind of a honcho too.
Yeah, I'm her
Lieutenant.
I'm her girl Friday. Yes. And she's our Arts West contact. She works at Arts West.
Ah.
So.
Okay, well, you're filling up Oh, look at this. That's interesting.
Cool looking show, Nance.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I attended one of your paper making sessions.
That's right. Paper making.
That's right. Yeah, with Reedy. Was it with Reedy?
Yeah. I was with Rini. I'm gonna run to the restroom.
This is good, Michelle. This is really good. I'm just sure what her last name
So when is your party going to be?
is. Next Monday at
Next-
5:30 is our
I'm
art
sorry,
opening.
what's the date?
What is next Monday? Is that the 9th?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's the 9th.
Oh, the 9th.
Yeah.
All right.
That looks good.
Oh, goodness.
You want me to help you do a tag, Michelle? Would you like me to help you make a couple tags for your pieces? You have some cards? Okay. Oh, okay. I made your dish last night. Which one? The kale? The kale, but I used Swiss chard and I had zucchini and butternut, and my son ate salads. Good. He's like, is he a veggie? No. No, there's no meat in it. And
Now, I've done it also before with like some spicy sausage, like some big sausages, and I cut them up and then put them, put that little bit of spice, it's really nice.
no, she just told me, let's just, this is kale and.
You take a butternut squash, chop it in cubes, roast it in olive oil, salt, pepper. Cut up the onions, roast those too, so you get that nice roasted flavor. And then I do some kale, and I add tomatoes, whatever. And I roll with balsamic vinegar, and then mix the roasted vegetables in it until the peanut or rice.
Oh, see, I didn't do the balsamic vinegar.
Okay, but I just included it.
I did saute the Swiss chard with shallots. And then I added a lot of flavor. And then I also roasted peppers. There's this little sweet peppers. And zucchini. I roasted all those vegetables.
But when you put in just roasted peppers on the grill,
It was like this in the morning. I'm like, yes. It's not showing me.
you know, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong skipping roasting vegetables. Is there any vegetable that you don't like to roast it or make it?
Well, yeah, I really want to my stuff is
I set them up, and then in 3 weeks with onions, and then I went shopping this summer. And now what I'm making for dinner. For the next 3 weeks, I'm teaching myself. I have to, Mama. I'm just, and I was visiting, so.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good. I'm like, now that she's gone, I'm going to her something. So she wants to see me, just to see me, but I just thought, I'm not a lot of afraid of this discussion. She comes up with a new one, and she makes me feel it, and that's what I do. No, I think it's, I heard that. No, I don't think so, but it was just kind of really weird, and I was just like,
You do buttons? that's
sold
interesting.
them in a holiday shop before elementary school. So I walk around with them a lot, and just I didn't know how we were doing it here. I mean,
Yeah, they're
people
interesting.
stuff there very long.
Yeah, these too, Michelle. I didn't know if you wanted to do these too. Somewhere. I don't know if you wanted those somewhere too.
It just popped in my head this morning.
I know I could only pick one out.
It's just like,
No, your mom's just being smart.
okay, she is smart.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing something. Now, the reception for this is Monday night from 5:30 to 7.
From what to what?
Monday night, the 9th,
Uh-huh.
from 5:30 to 7 here in the library.
Oh, 5:30 to 7, okay.
Yes, Monday the 9th. So a week
Thank
from
you.
tonight. Thank you.
Well, what did you think of that?
Well done. Well done, Nan.
Oh, shucks.
Since I really don't like videoing anything except my grandchildren, I'm always impressed by Nan's love of videotaping. How did you find out that you like to do this? What brought this into your life? I'm fascinated.
Oh, I remember. My son was living with me on East State Street, and I had on television, and he said, well, I'm going to go out for a while, and I said, okay, and 10 minutes later, I was looking at him on television. Really, live.
Oh my gosh.
And they were fooling around and cutting up and just having a ball, and I thought, what a creative outlet this is. It's a gift to the community. You can do almost anything you want to, and well, look at us.
Pretty scary, huh? Well, it's really interesting that you thought that when you saw it.
Yeah, and so subsequently I got a video camera.
I remember those
Yeah,
great big
yeah.
ones, yeah.
And I started Kaleidoscope, and I did Kaleidoscope for 2 or 3 years, and I wasn't on it. You know, it was just video footage around town, Kaleidoscope. I did have one person at the checkout counter say, oh, I know you. I'd know that voice anywhere. But it wasn't based on the way I looked, because I didn't put my face here. So the only way that I got up nerve enough to put my face here is when I ran into Jane at the book sale at the library, and I said, hi, Jane, you're a good talker. Why don't we do a show together?
Subsequent to that, we had known each other because we'd been in a writing club together. So she already knew I was a good talker. She didn't find it out at the
That's
library.
right. Yeah.
She knew that.
So we need to say goodbye. This
I
is
guess we
Crone
do.
and
Motormouth. And we've enjoyed it. We hope you have too. Bye, Athens.
so long.